Chapter 48 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. Lin Qingyu asked Shao Songxi to help him keep an eye on the situation in Xinjiang Hall. But Shao Songxi was only a eunuch charged with delivering meals. He was only ever in Xinjiang Hall for a short time every day, and the information he could get was limited. Lin Qingyu pieced together these scattered clues. The only thing that was certain was that the message, if or change, if even remain the same, came from either Shixia or Yongliang, and that Shao Cheng summoned the Imperial Academy scholars to Xinjiang Hall to decipher this code. The thought of going to Yongliang to find that person did cross his mind, but when he thought about it calmly, it was obviously not a wise move. Not to mention that Yongliang was a long way from the capital, taking at least a month to go there and back. Even if he did go, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack without any clues to go by. It would be better to stay in the palace and find some clues. At this time, Lin Qingyu was in no hurry. It was good that that person was alive, no matter how difficult the situation was, but as long as they were alive, they would meet again. What's more, he has long understood that person's temperament. He may be lazy, but when it came to conspiracies and tricks, he was no match for him. He believed that that person would do anything possible to get back to him. Oh, see? Like that trust that he has. I know, like he knows conspiracies. He can plan, he can plot. I'm sure he's dying to come back to me. He will come back to me. I'll just stay here in the palace, collect the information, and try to see where it leads. Oh. He didn't have to go anywhere. He will just wait for him where he was. Oh, see? He also didn't know how that person looked like now. Old or young, male or female, beautiful or ugly. Zhang liked looking at beauties. He once ranked the most handsome man in the capital. Lu Wancheng was also considered a rare handsome son of nobility, but it still wasn't as good as his original appearance. When Zhang had reappeared in front of him on the seventh night after his death, he made it a point to emphasize this fact. It showed that he was very satisfied with his appearance. If he had transmigrated to have an ugly appearance this time, Zhang had probably gotten so angry that he vomited blood. He might not even have the face to appear in front of him. If he had become a woman, given his character, after a period of inner struggle and pain, he had probably calmly accepted it. Maybe he could even find a man to marry him who would let him just lie down, eat, and drink. Then, if that were the case, better to just marry him. Oh, hey, don't just, gender block him. It's fine. You can still marry him even if he is a guy. Thinking of this, a long absent smile reappeared on Lin Qingyu's face. His eyes were clear like water, and his cheeks were brighter than the blooming peonies. Huji, who'd been watching him, couldn't help but be entranced. Huji couldn't help asking, "Imperial Physician Lin, why are you so happy?" The corners of Lin Qingyu's lips rose slightly. "It's been 100 days since my husband's passing. Is it not worth being happy about?" That. Huji quickly retracted his gaze, not daring to look at him again. Although beautiful people were beautiful, ordinary people would never have the fortune to have them. He himself was certain he never would have this blessing, and so he didn't even dare to entertain any delusions. As the two were talking, an eccentric sounding voice came from behind them. Is engaging in idle chatter part of your duties? The speaker was naturally none other than Chu Zhengde. Since last time, when Lin Qingyu was called to Fengyi Palace, Chu Zhengde found him more and more offensive to look at. This treatment extended even to Hu Ji, who was close to him. The Imperial Hospital was a place where they placed great importance on seniority. They were subordinate officials, and naturally, they couldn't blatantly disobey Chu Zhengde. Hu Ji closed his mouth, feeling embarrassed. Lin Qingyu was in a good mood and didn't feel like bothering to argue with the old fool. Not long after, the eunuch from the Eastern Palace came to the Imperial Hospital saying that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was feeling unwell. Lin Qingyu was being summoned to the Eastern Palace to provide diagnosis and treatment. The first time he could bear with it. The second time he was driven to the edge of his forbearance. Chu Zhengde said angrily, "It has always been I who looked after the health of the master of the Eastern Palace. If not I, then Hu Ji. Lin Qingyu is of little talent and shallow learning. How could His Highness request him for diagnosis and treatment? Both the Empress and the Crown Prince have bypassed him, looking for Lin Qingyu instead." This was nothing short of a slap to the face. Lin Qingyu said indifferently, "It seems that Imperial Physician Chu wishes to be the one to go and give the diagnosis and treatment to the Crown Prince. If Imperial Physician Chu wants this blessing, then by all means, yes, go. Just freaking go, man. Go and stay with that freaking greasy Crown Prince. Treat him, poison him, or do whatever the hell you want. Just don't let Lin Qingyu go over there." The East Palace's eunuch said coldly, "Who among us could possibly guess His Highness's intentions? We simply need to obey his orders. Could it be that you intend to disobey and disrespect His Highness?" Chu Zhengde stomped his foot. "It just doesn't make sense." Hu Ji knew vaguely what the Crown Prince's thoughts were of Lin Qingyu. He said worriedly, "Imperial Physician Lin, you must be careful." "It's all right." Lin Qingyu put a porcelain bottle into his sleeve. "The Crown Prince is wary of General Gu, so he shouldn't do anything to me." He and Gu Fuzhao had never met, and Gu Fuzhao recognized his father as his adoptive father only because of his life-saving grace. Gu Fuzhao was far away in Yongliang, but he was able to shelter him under his illustrious military achievements, making it so that Shao Cheng couldn't lay his hands on him for the time being. Even if it was unintentional on Gu Fuzhao's part, he deserved to be thanked in person. Just in case, Lin Qingyu said again, "Won't you go to Changlei Palace to ask concubine Chen to let you diagnose her pulse?" Arriving at the Eastern Palace, Lin Qingyu followed the eunuch to the side hall where the Crown Prince was resting. "Imperial Physician Lin, please." Lin Qingyu walked into the hall. Inside, it was like a fierce gale had passed through. Atop the mess was a wine case filled with empty jugs. Shao Cheng was lying on his bed beside the wine case. He had his neck tilted, pouring wine onto his mouth. He looked both greasy and desolate. Lin Qingyu knelt down and saluted according to customary etiquette. "Your Highness." Shao Cheng threw away the jug and staggered to his feet. He looked down at him from above. "You're here. You have the nerve to keep me waiting? This humble official would not dare. What would you not dare? I can clearly see that you have a lot of nerve. Shao Cheng looked at him for a while, his eyes gradually becoming confused. He raised his hand, wanting to touch his face. Your eyes. You were born with very good eyes. Lin Qingyu felt nausea in his stomach. He tilted his head to avoid Shao Cheng's hand. It was as though Shao Cheng had been dealt a heavy blow. It seemed that he could now see clearly that the person in front of him wasn't the one in his heart. Jing Chen would never look at me with this kind of eyes. Shao Cheng's mouth curved into a cruel arc. If you were blind, I wonder if you would look at me like Jing Chen, eyes filled only with innocence. Lin Qingyu looked at him quietly, but in his heart he was thinking up of countless ways to humiliate the other. Shao Cheng gave him inspiration. Blinding him was one way, or he could simply take out his eyeballs. That seemed quite interesting as well. Your Highness has drunk too much, Lin Qingyu said. This humble official will give you a prescription for sobering up. Shao Cheng roared, Look at me! If there is nothing else, this humble official will be taking his leave. Shao Cheng suddenly grabbed his arm, his eyes widening in anger. He said fiercely, I am the Crown Prince. If I want you, what can you do? Yes, you are Gu Fuzhao's adoptive brother, but would Gu Fuzhao dare embarrass me over an adoptive brother he barely recognizes? Lin Qingyu's eyes darkened and he unexpectedly laughed out loud. Ha! Then try it. Yes! You also have a sword. You can point at this cheap crown prince. It's not only him who can freaking threaten you. He doesn't have that much of power against you, okay? You plot, honey, you plot. Oh my gosh. Every time Shao Cheng shows up, I just don't want to read anymore, you know? Like, I just want, like, can we just get rid of him now? I can't with his, disgusting ways. He might not be able to escape this disaster, but Shao Cheng won't be leaving the Eastern Palace alive either. It was a pity that he was going to die with this dog thing. He suddenly remembered what Jiang had said on their wedding night. Lin Qingyu, the beautiful imperial doctor who died in the Eastern Palace. I see. So this was to be his end. Shao Cheng's eyes were locked on his face. He still hadn't let go, but made no further moves. Just then, a figure walked in. It was Shen Haoshi. Unless their master was in trouble, a shadow guard wouldn't just show up. Shao Cheng narrowed his eyes and said coldly, What are you doing here? Shen Haoshi knelt on the ground with a thud and slammed his head down. I beg your highness, please let Imperial Physician Lin go. Shao Cheng observed the expressions of the two of them. He suddenly let out a strange laugh. Say that again? Shen Haoshi said, Your Highness has simply lost control from drinking. If he were sober, he would definitely not be like this. You're begging for him? You're actually begging for him? Shao Cheng's laughter grew louder and louder, not knowing which of them he was jealous of. I finally understand why little Qingyu was so kind enough to apply medicine for you. Shen Haoshi's voice trembled. The subordinate knows that today is the Princess Jingchen's birthday, and His Highness becomes like this every year at this time. Shut up. Shao Cheng looked grim. Since you're protecting him like this, Why don't you take his place instead? Ugh, this disgusting piece of shit. Like, his character is like just a freaking downhill. I can't believe he was a freaking male lead in the original novel. Ugh, gosh. After saying so, he pulled Shanhashi up and stretched his hand from Shanhashi's chest. Shanhashi's eyes widened. Your Highness. Why? You're shy? And here I thought I wasn't feeding you enough, so you go and fool around with other men under my nose? Shanhaoshi shook his head helplessly. This subordinate has not. Lin Yu tightly clutched the medicine bottle in his sleeve, forcing himself to calmly think about countermeasures in the situation. Shanhaoshi was skilled in martial arts, and he had the medicine in his hand. If Shanhaoshi was willing to cooperate, they might be able to. At this time, a voice came from outside. The imperial concubine is coming. Shao Cheng paused and asked sharply, why is my mother suddenly visiting? The imperial concubine heard that His Highness was ill, and she went to the imperial hospital to ask for an imperial doctor. She came specially to visit His Highness. Why would my concubine mother make such a big fuss over nothing? Shao Cheng looked at Lin Yu, an ominous glint concealed in his eyes. Unless someone had been adding oil and vinegar in front of her. Lin Yu stuffed the medicine bottle back into his sleeve and said calmly, this humble official does not know. His drunkenness had subsided, and Shao Cheng regained some clear-headedness. He looked at Shenhua Shi, who was lying on the ground. A strange look flashed in his eyes. Put your clothes on and order someone to make a cup of sobering soup. Shenhua Shi crawled up from the ground, holding together the lapels of his robes. Head lowered, he said, yes. Shenhua Shi, my dear, it's time to dump your toxic boyfriend. He's not worth it. Ugh. Please, have some self-respect. Lin Yu walked out of the Eastern Palace unscathed. In a deserted corner, he took a deep breath. He couldn't help thinking, if Gu Faozhao hadn't recognized his father as his adoptive father, and he hadn't gotten to know Shenhua Shi, would he have been so lucky today? Without Gu Fuzhao, Shao Cheng wouldn't have had that moment of hesitation. Had he not deliberately approached Shenhua Shi, not only would he not intercede for him, but he would have shown up when he attacked Shao Cheng and plunged that blade into his neck. He might have died in the Eastern Palace under the Shen Haoshi's sword. In the dark, it was as if there were these pair of hands pulling him from destiny's outcome. Lin Yu looked up at the sky towards the northwest. He said softly, is it you? Even if they were separated from each other, unable to see one another, that person was still protecting him in his own way. For the first time in his new lease on life, Lin Yu suddenly lost strength, and with the palace wall against his back, slowly crouched to the ground. When are you coming back? Oh, he misses his salted fish husband. Oh my gosh, so freaking cute. I love it. They are one of my best, one of the best of the best of the best couples I have read so far. It was night. Xinjiang Hall was brightly lit. The cabinet ministers were all gathered around a newly arrived urgent missive from the northwest. All of them had solemn expressions on their faces. Shao Cheng tapped the table with his fingertips. He felt restless, and the front of his head was aching from too much drinks. Not long after, Chu Zhengde walked in with Shao Songxi leading the way. Your Highness. Shao Cheng wasted no time on nonsense. Let me ask you, do you know of a poison called sky spider? Your Highness, this is a strange poison from the north. If the poisoned person does not receive an antidote, his internal organs will be attacked by the poison, slowly causing organ failure until death. Then, is there an antidote for the sky spider? Yes, but the antidote is extremely complicated. Chu Zhengde told everything he knew. We would need to use the 1,000-year-old snow lotus from the north as a supplement. It should be ground into powder using warm jade mortar exclusively found in the Imperial Medical Office's 1000 Herb Hall. The medicine should be given immediately after it is prepared. Only by taking this medicine can the poisoned person be detoxified. Shao Cheng said. You mean to say this poison can only be detoxified in the Imperial Medical Office? Exactly. Alright, you may withdraw. After Chu Zhengde withdrew, Shao Cheng said solemnly, don't you think it's strange that someone in Yongliang would be poisoned by the Central North? The Prime Minister said, Your Highness, the Tianji camp has already confirmed the poisoning to be true. No matter how he was poisoned, our top priority should be to get rid of the poison first. Shao Cheng's face was ugly. He was completely unwilling, but he had no choice but to compromise. Gritting his teeth, he said, Deliver my decree. Allow Gu Fuzhao to return to the capital immediately. Yes! Our salted fish is arriving in the capital soon to meet his wife. I hope he didn't actually poison himself, or probably he actually did do it. He's that desperate. Oh my gosh, these kids. Like, if you just think about it objectively, is that what you do to meet your bosom friend? You could be pen pals or you could wait for a while, but nope, I will be there as soon as I can, my wife. That's no way a bosom friend thinks. Oh my gosh, these idiots shouldn't get together already.